So right now, Rashan Gary is entering the final year of his contract. He will be playing on his fifth-year option in 2023. He is, of course, coming off that ACL tear, has yet to play a regular season game. And so there is some debate as to when the Packers are going to give him his long-term deal, when they want to give him some kind of extension. And Matt Schneidman of The Athletic spoke with his agent, and I want to share this quote from his agent. So here's a tweet from Matt Schneidman. Rashan Gary is entering the fifth season of his rookie deal and hasn't been extended yet. Asked his agent Ian Clark if Gary is willing to negotiate in season. Here's what his agent said. Our plan is to operate professionally and remain open to reasonable contract offers in every phase of his career. So I think that if currently Rashan Gary had not been coming off of a torn ACL, if he had not had to rehab, since last season and missed the final half of the season, I think that if Rashan Gary did not have a contract right now, Rashan Gary could potentially be doing what someone like Nick Bosa is doing in San Francisco, holding out until he gets the contract he wants. However, because Gary is coming off an ACL tear, I think the Packers want to see a healthy Gary before they give him a big contract. Odds are if Gary continues to play as one of the best edge rushers in the NFL, he's going to make somewhere around, the most edge rusher money in the NFL. If we look at TJ Watt right now, has the biggest contract at $28 million per year. Total value of $112 million. So the Packers do not want to give Gary that kind of money until I think they see him on the field producing, because to give it to him right now, before maybe you're sure about him, would be slightly risky. Now, if they did give it to him before the season started, that would mean, in my opinion, they have fully seen and trust that his ACL is going to be back to normal and that he would be able to play at that high level that he played at before the tear. But I want to take a look at previous contracts the Packers have given, which I think will give an insight into maybe when they could give this deal to Rashan Gary. Look at two guys first, Jair Alexander and Kenny Clark, both guys who got drafted by the Packers in the first round. Looking at Kenny Clark first, the Packers picked up Kenny Clark's fifth-year option, and then 2020 was the year he would have played on that fifth-year option, and the Packers gave him an extension on August 15th of 2020, signed to a 4-year, $70 million contract extension before his fifth season. So they gave him the deal before the season started, but he wasn't coming off of an ACL tear, of course. Jair, on the other hand, they also gave him the fifth-year option. Entering 2022 would have been Jair's fifth year, which he would have played on that if he wouldn't have gotten the extension. The Packers extend him in May of 2022 to a 4-year, $84 million deal. He was coming off an injury, but it was a shoulder injury, and so I think that those kind of injuries are less worrisome than, say, an ACL tear in a knee. And so they're willing to pay him before the season as well, giving him a 4-year, $84 million extension before his fifth season. Now, here's the one that I think more similarly will reflect Rashan Gary. So Elgton Jenkins tears his ACL in 2021. 2022, he was playing in the final year of his contract. Wasn't the fifth-year option because he was a second-round player, but it was his final year of his contract, his fourth season. He enters 2022, starts playing in week 2, and the Packers don't give him an extension until December 23rd, 2022, a 4-year, $68 million extension. So the Packers waited 3 or 4 months from the start of the season to pay up Elgton Jenkins, and he was a guy who, similarly compared to Rashan Gary, was coming off of that ACL tear. So I would expect something more likely as to what happened with Elgton Jenkins to happen with Rashan Gary. The Packers are not going to pay Rashan Gary until they know that his ACL is fine, until they know that he can play at that top-tier level, because it would be a waste of money to pay Rashan before the season, before you're convinced and know for certain that he is going to play at that elite level. I assume he will. I assume he will get back to his former self. If you look at training camp practices and everything we've seen coming out of camp, it sounds like he's done well so far, but the Packers are going to have him on a snap count to start the season per Matt LaFleur, and I assume Brian Gutekunst and the guys managing the contracts want to see, okay, can he play at that level? Once they do, I think they'll be willing to give him the huge contract, and I don't think there's any reason they wouldn't give him an extension, because I think he is going to be one of the most important pieces on this Packers defense for the next few seasons. So the Packers, I think, are going to extend him the second they can, once they truly trust his knee and his ACL recovery. But I just wanted to share that little quote from the agent. Thank you for watching. If you want to stay up to date with all Packers news, feel free to subscribe down below. But that's all I have for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.